Hello, hello, hello. Or should I say, what's up, Cryptonauts? Guess what? We are back again with another episode of Cryptocurrency Chat here with my co-host, Jake Jabrelli, to give you some crazy news for this episode 458, November 9th, 2022. What's up, Jake?
Hey, John, it's been a crazy freaking week. Oh my goodness, it's just insane. Not just the election stuff that's been going on, although I wouldn't say elections are all that crazy compared to what they should have been, but yeah, the crypto, oh my goodness, the market. Oh my goodness, the market. Oh man, the market.
Speaking of the
Holy
market,
crap.
let's open that up, man. Let's go to CoinGecko. Open that up real quick.
Yeah.
Check out the market. See what's going on. Now, I don't know. I stayed up all night looking at the market, not because I'm panicking, but because I'm trying to buy the dip, right?
Yep.
For me, this is a good thing. I know there's a lot of people already heavily invested at the top, so seeing the numbers go down like this, it's hurting for them. But for me, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna buy a little more. I'm gonna buy a little more as it continued to go down. It went from 19, I bought some at 19. It went under 18, I bought some at 18. And then I went to bed and I woke up and it's under 17. Before I even took a shower this morning, I bought some more. And then, I went to work before I started my shift, bought some more. Lunchtime, checked it out. It's at 16. Cool, bought some more. I took my break. It's under 16, bought some more. Yeah, that was my day today.
Yes, you sound like Michael
Kept going
Saylor.
lower and lower. I just kept buying and buying.
Blockchain John is Michael.
Holocaust average.
You say in 10 years you rivaled Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy in the amount of Bitcoin you own.
If I won that lottery ticket last week, the past couple of days, yeah, dude, I would have stacked a bunch of bitcoins. I would have. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
let's talk about the news, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, there's a lot of chaos in the market. We're bleeding here. We're looking at Bitcoin down 18.6% in the past 7 days, settling right now at 16,427. And the entire market cap is down by 8.4% with a total of $865 billion. We are literally under the trillions, and it doesn't look like we're going to go up anytime soon. And it's just
well, I know
dumping
it,
more
it,
and more and
it
more
bounced
debt.
off of 800. It hit about 810 this morning here on the left coast of the United States. So that's where we are, and it's bounced up another 50 billion. So it's recovered a little bit, but like the total negative down was probably, oh gosh, what was it, 15% for the entire
15.
market.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was down. It's come back. This is the first attempt to recover losses, right? All those people who were longing, and that is invested
That's,
long, lost their money, lost their shirts on this. I mean,
yeah.
Bitcoin bounced off of 300 billion, and now it's at 315. So
Yeah, I think the investors that were long, I think I read an article, it was like 700 million to $1 billion liquidated. Like, imagine that. You're just oh man, I don't play that game. That's not in crypto, man. I just hold my coins, let it ride. Playing that game to try to gamble it, that hurts. That hurts, man. All right, we got
yeah,
let's see. Obviously you can see in the top 10, we're missing one of the top 10 OGs because it's down in 13.
yeah,
Solana.
Solana.
And it's currently down. If you look at Solana, it is down 15 50 50. Literally in the past 7 days, 50%. Nobody's really
Right.
talking about Solana, but
It, it's not it's
there
not
is a
that bad
beat.
because I mean almost every single time Bitcoin falls, it falls 50%. This time Bitcoin didn't fall that far. It was Solana that fell really far. But of course, if Bitcoin falls, what, 10%, it could be the entire value of Solana. But yeah, it's not uncommon for this to happen. But the thing is that I mean, I'm not afraid that Solana is going to disappear. There's a lot of people invested in NFTs on Solana, so I don't think it's just going to evaporate. But it's still doing a Terra fall, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's open up the first news article there from Decrypt, and let me skim through that really quick. That is Binance backs out of deals to buy FTX.
Yeah.
Now
So I
let's
mean,
see if I have
before
that
you
one up.
refer them, let me just hit some background on this before you even go to the article.
Sure. Go ahead.
On Sunday night, Chingpeng Zhao, CZ, that we know him in the news as, the CEO of Binance, announced on Twitter that he would be liquidating all of the FTT, that's FTX's token. They were going to do it. They weren't going to do it quickly. They were going to do it slowly, but he still said it. And he's like, "Hey, oh, this is the wrong article. It's this one. Liquidating our FTT is just post-exit risk management. Learning from Luna, of course. We gave support before, but we won't pretend to make love after divorce. We are not against anyone, but we won't support people who lobby against the other industry players behind their backs. So his kind of thing is like, the same kind of crap that happened to Terra is happening to FTX, except Terra was more of a token and FTX is an exchange. So did he support? Was he in great support of FTX? Absolutely he was. Binance definitely had a huge chunk, and they had a lot of their tokens on their exchange. But once he realized what was going on, at least to some degree, because they didn't realize the full extent of it, as we will get to on Wednesday, that's today, as to what was going on once they made their letter of intent. So what happened next was on Tuesday, which is, I don't know if it's ironically, but the same day that the elections are being held in the U.S., midterm elections, he says on Twitter, this afternoon, FTX asked for our help. There is a significant liquidity crunch. To protect users, we signed a non-binding LOI, which is letter of intent, intending to fully acquire FTX.com and help cover their liquidity crunch. We will be conducting a full, I'm not sure what DD stands for, in the coming days, maybe some kind of
Due diligence.
oh yeah, there you go, due diligence. So yeah, and then of course today, if this article covers that, but I'm covering the general aspects herein. I just jumped off that. Let me pull the link again. Copy this so I can put it up on screen. Is that the right one? Yes, it is. Okay. And yeah, right. As a result, this is Binance, not CT, but Binance's company. As a result of corporate due diligence, as well as the latest news reports regarding mishandling customer funds and alleged U.S. agency investigations, we have decided that we will not pursue the potential acquisition of FTX.com. So, is that what the article says in its entirety now that you've had a chance to look it over?
More or less. Yep, pretty much.
I mean, there is a little bit
Yep.
more depth as to what happened to the FTT token. And then the main thing that we wanted to talk about, we were talking about this pre-show, was how much involvement there is in other companies, right? Who's affected by the failure of FTX, John?
There's a lot of companies that are involved with FTX, and that's what's scary about this. That if FTX goes down, it's not like a ha ha,
Yeah.
you got caught, not playing by the rules, and no, dude, this is bad. If it goes under, it's taking a lot of other big companies with it. It's hurting a lot of people. So it's most likely going to be in the best interest that these companies around the globe help FTX try to figure out this situation. I don't know if they're going to be able to, because
investor enthusiasm is pretty low.
Yeah, that's another thing. And the reason being is because their balance sheet has a big hole in it. Like,
Yep.
it wasn't that bad. It's like, cool, we can patch that up and we'll keep it going. It's because FTX is kind of like in hands with all these other companies, right? You have Sequoia Capital, big company. You have BlackRock, another big company, SoftBank, VanEck, Tiger Global. These are major companies that are invested into FTX. And so if these companies have FTX or was it FTX.com and FTX US on their balance sheet, even though according to the Sequoia Capital, it only accounts for about 3% of their books, so it's not going to affect them. And in the moment, actually, let me pull that article up. Did I post that Twitter for you? I don't think
you did. Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you can look up Aaron Bennett, if you can look up Aaron Bennett
On Twitter?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see if we
So
can
I'm
find
gonna
him.
read. Let's see, where's it at? Here it is. That's from Sequoia Capital. This is a screenshot of their letter. Just really quick, I'm just going to read the first sentence here. We are reaching out to our shareholders to update our investments in FTX. In recent days, the liquidity crunch has created solvency risk for FTX. The full nature and extent of this risk is not known at this time. Based on our current understanding, we are making our investment down to zero. So Sequoia Capital, once again, to reiterate, is invested. They have approximately $150 million, which accounts for about 3% invested into FTX on their balance sheet. So it's not going to hurt them that much, but still, they don't want to take that risk, because if they don't need to take that risk, why do it, right?
Yeah,
So
no, exactly. But it's also just, I mean, as they say in their article, is like we're risk company. We invest in risky ventures. If this can happen, we expect that this is a possibility. Of course, we're assessing, and that's what people trust their money with. People like Sequoia Capital or BlackRock. It said, like, look, these guys have a really good track record of not screwing up. And even though when you invest with this company, you know there is that possibility. They've done their research. At least you hope they've done their research, especially if they've been around for a long time. A company that's been around and has massive people investing in them, you'd think they're probably doing a good job. But I mean, what's the prime example of the opposite of exactly that thing? Bernie Madoff, right? Bernie Madoff, which was now, over 10 years ago, but he was a trusted person. He'd been in the business a very long time, and yet he was still lying. So this is the thing that we're running into here, is this rocking investor confidence. Is that, we had Alex Mashinsky and what's it called, Celsius. He was lying to us the whole time. In fact, they're discovering that this may have actually been a Ponzi scheme. And then we have Do Kwon, who doesn't appear to be trying to lie to anybody. It's just that his business practice was very cyclical. It was, depending upon itself. And now that we're finding out that pretty much the same thing happens to Sam Bankman-Fried, is that his company was depending upon itself and not something of more substantial. So all these times when when 3 Arrows Capital and Voyager Digital and of course Celsius to some degree were all depending upon 3 Arrows and to survive, and on Terra, and there was nothing to back them up, they all collapsed because there was a real true house of cards. It was just made out of air.
Yeah, exactly. So the problem is with a lot of these companies that are going under is that they're mimicking what the Federal Reserve Bank is doing. But the Federal Reserve Bank does have a one up that they can actually get away with it. And what I mean is that these crypto companies that are out there, what they are doing that's screwing them up is that they're creating their own coins out of thin air, not
Well,
backed by
but which is
anything.
of course what the U.S. did originally, right? We backed it off of gold, and we haven't been tagged to gold since the 70s, before I was born.
Mhm.
So it's like, is the value they are mimicking the U.S. fiat system in the sense of basing it off nothing, in effect. But the quote nothing that the U.S. dollar is based off of is you almost could say it's the same kind of thing as we're facing with FTX right now, right? FTX owns all these other companies that all these other people depend on, or at least their capital is based on. And if all those companies collapse, we end up in the same kind of situation that happened in the collapse of 2008 with the housing market crisis. Was all these major companies out there, particularly auto manufacturers and banks, that were collapsing, and if they had completely collapsed, the economy would collapse. Now, the economy of crypto isn't quite as big as the economy of the United States or the economy of the world, but it's still a lot of stuff. So it's kind of like, do you guys just decide amongst yourselves to not let this company collapse because you don't want all those all those entities to just disappear? Of course, the market can react much more quickly. If this had happened, as it did after hours in the stock market, people can't buy or sell or trade, right? Well, at least not as easily. But with crypto, it's open season, right? So when people in other countries that aren't the U.S. get news of what's happening in the U.S., they're like, all right, sell. Just selling all my Bitcoin. Sorry, bye, leaving. But it's a different. It's funny because I keep thinking of talking about this with people who are saying that the world economy is not something that they are appreciative of. I've heard many people on the right in the U.S. say they don't like the idea of a world economy. And I was trying to say, by the example we got from Russia attacking Ukraine in February, we're already in a world economy. It's been that way for decades. It's not new. If you don't believe that that's real, then you're fooling yourself. We have had a world economy for a very long time, even before Bitcoin was a thing.
Mhm.
And so to say that there's no world economy and we shouldn't be doing this, you just don't recognize the signs. You're not seeing the writing on the wall. World economy has already happened. We're already in it. So
Yeah. Let
I'm
me
not.
just extend a little information on this news article here. By the way, this one's written by Stacey Elliott, provided by Decrypt.co. So Binance backs out a deal to buy FTX beyond our ability to help. And what happened was, before they actually looked further into Binance, before Binance decided to try to buy FTX, they didn't know how much damage there was on balance sheet. When they found out the revelations, they, oh, a lot of money, like company out there is able to build a lot of out with that. And on top, there's some going on there. You know, what take on that head, right? Would you like if there's no? I don't even want to go there.
All right, hold up, John.
What's interesting here?
Wait, John, wait. Can you hear me okay?
Uh,
John, can you hear me?
yeah.
I lost almost everything you said in the last 30 seconds.
Did I lose? Yeah.
I can't hear you at all now. All right. I don't know what's going on, and I can't hear John any longer. He's not coming through. And his Twitter just cut out, so I'll see if we can pause things temporarily while he tries to get back on the internet. I just did a speed test on my internet to see if I would lost connectivity, but still there, John? Can you hear me? John, are you there? Hello, John. I cannot hear you, John. If you're there, I can't hear you. Anyways, yeah, well, my internet seems to be working. I'm getting 600 plus megabit, which is what mine should be. But for some reason, John's internet has evacuated on him, and you may notice that his Twitch has gone offline too. So, yeah, we may have to do this another day. I'm not sure what's going to happen. But anyways, let me just continue on with what we were talking about before John disappeared, because it's not really working at the moment. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are dependent upon the irony, dependent upon these big corporations that they could continue to exist. We really need them to continue to exist if we want things to continue to work in this reality. So, you back now, John?
Yes, I am here.
All right. Well, your Twitch stream died, so.
Yes, I see that.
Anyways,
Just continue on.
Let's just continue on with, even though the Twitch stream failed out.
So there's another article here. Let's go with the second article. This one's from Yuga CoinDesk, and written by Brandy Betts and Sage D. Young. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one says Yuga Labs circle Skybridge among investment FTX venture made prior liquidity issues. Ooh. Let me read a little bit on this, right? So here's a screenshot. Let me show you real quick the screenshot. If you could show the viewers there.
Yep.
11 biggest funding rounds with FTX Ventures. You have Yuga Labs right at the top with $450 million, followed by Circle with $440 million, Near Protocol with $350 million, Sui with $300 million, BlockFi $250 million, Aptos $200 million, Helium $200 million, Limit Break $200 million, Chipper Cash $150 million, Mythical Games $150 million. So that's a lot of money that's pretty much riding on FTX right now. You know, that's pretty much going to be vaporized if FTX goes bankrupt. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake.
It doesn't. It's not so much that those companies will disappear. I mean, the value of those companies still exists. It's that the problem really comes down to the fact that it's kind of like it's being borrowed, right? It's borrowed money. Those companies, if the money doesn't exist because it's not being held on some books somewhere, then is it really valid? You know, it's just like it was the same thing we had. The problem with Celsius was they were $5.2 billion in the hole, and then they paid off a whole chunk of change. And then what they ended up doing was paying off the bigger investors, the outside investors, the people they owed cash directly to. And then their actual, small-time investors like you and I, they're just like, sorry, you don't have as much money with it, so we're just going to steal that money, effectively, and having lost it, through their bad money laundering ventures. That's what I'm saying. It's like, so these companies will still exist. They still have value unless all that money really isn't on the books. They don't actually have it physically, or not physically, but digitally.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's
but yes, if the company went into bankruptcy, it would make all these other companies struggle, just like we saw happen when Three Arrows Capital disappeared, and then Voyager Digital, and then Celsius. But I mean, Celsius was a problem unto itself. It wasn't depending wholly on Three Arrows.
so going back to what I was saying, mentioned at the beginning, is that it's not funny thing to laugh at FTX that they're going on the verge of bankruptcy because it's going to pull down the entire market. Not only that, now you're going to have regulators like the SEC and the CFTC looking over the crypto shoulders. You don't want that stress on these companies because there's just going to be more rules,
It,
more regulations, more just scrutiny. You don't
I
really want
agree.
that, but unfortunately, that's huh?
I agree with what you're saying, but the one thing that I will say is, I was trying to make a tweet about this afternoon, how we kind of did this over the last 200 years with fiat, figuring all this stuff out. And then over the last 10 years, we've been doing it again with crypto. And the reason that we have all those regulations in place in the United States and other countries have similar regulations is because we figured out that we don't want people to do these kinds of things without some level of oversight. You know, Sam Bankman-Fried's pretty young. He's like 5 years younger than you are, and he's in his late 20s. Does that mean that he's a brilliant businessman? No, no, it doesn't. Um, does it mean that he can get in trouble pretty easily? Yeah, because he doesn't have any guides. The regulations, they're doing the legal stuff, but you could still cook the books. And in fact, this is the comment I made to somebody earlier when I was talking on Twitter, DMing, that is.
Mm-hmm.
I said, just because you're using fiat doesn't mean you can't still cook your books to a crisp. There's plenty of companies that are not anything related to crypto whatsoever that have bad books, that are lying about what they're doing. It's happened many, many, many times, not just in crypto. But crypto is this wide, wild west space where there's, it seems, no rules and you can make infinite money. And that's the problem with this. I even tweeted it out. The issue is that it's all about the money and not about the productivity possibility of crypto. Cryptocurrency is a currency, but it's also a blockchain. And blockchain is a tool. Not to say that money isn't a tool, but it's there's so much greed and so much infinite money possibilities with these ideas that no one's really seeing the purpose and not just the money. And so everyone gets really super greedy about the money, and they're just like, "Oh, we'll make billions." Yes, but you'll also lose billions. So you need regulation if you're going to do this in the United States. And so the first time ever, well, actually probably not the first, but one of the first times it's becoming glaringly obvious how important regulation is on centralized entities. If you're going to be decentralized like atomic DEX, what is there to regulate, right? So
Right.
the problem is these entities aren't being regulated, so they can do what they want and lie to the government. Of course, lying to the government will get you in a lot of trouble. So, yeah.
There's this thing that I'm trying to remember that CZ's trying to do, and it's proof of something. Proof of help me out here. Proof of
I don't know what he's trying to do. It's proof of something that's
um,
new. You're saying
proof
Jinping Zhao is trying to do a new proof of something?
of something to have the centralized banks pretty much have more transparencies on their books.
Okay.
Let me see if I could just search
Well,
CZ
he had a, yeah, in the spirit of transparencies, we might as well share our actual notes sent
of
to all
reserves.
Binance. Yeah, that's the third tweet he put up.
Proof of reserves. So the
Given.
proof of reserves, which is I think that's probably the only good thing that's coming out of this, other than that I'm buying the dip, stacking more sats, and we still have t-shirts for sale, so make sure you guys check those out in the description below.
Yeah.
Alright, so with that said, proof of reserves, that's probably gonna be the next thing that's gonna be the standard on centralized banks. That's gonna have this Merkle tree proof of reserves. So let me see, how do I explain it in layman terms? So you
Well,
have the
yeah,
central.
go ahead.
I'm gonna try to see if I can explain it.
Mm-hmm.
You have the central company that obviously is holding all the crypto on it, right? And then from there, just imagine tree branches coming out of that, right? And those tree branches, the main branches are the customers, And then from those main branches are an additional branch, which are the coins that you're invested into. So that's the proof of reserve transparency that's coming out. That's the way I see it. Obviously, that might not even be it,
Well,
but
it's a token,
from
right?
what
The
I
whole
understand,
the whole thing that we've been doing with this proof of blah blah blah, right? Proof of stake, proof of storage, proof of
transparency.
whatever. In this case, reserves is some token that shows that you have created a reserve. This token represents, like, the whole point of DeFi was, to produce liquidity for certain tokens that didn't have active trading. And that you're given this token as saying, okay, you've donated whatever, 100,000 in this coin and 100,000 in that coin, so we actually have liquidity on this pairing, and now you're given a token, and we'll pay you an interest rate based on the activity of that token, and that encourages people to invest. Not that there isn't any other similar concept like that in other formats like stock and other investment products, but the one thing that we definitely need is a easy way to tell that does this stablecoin have all the fiat backing it? Can you actually see it rather than somebody hiding it, like the way that's been shown that FTX is doing? I mean, he's taking this example. I mean, we were talking about today with my asset aware icon. Remember,
Mhm.
sometimes things don't exist. Sometimes you need to make them up. Sometimes that where did Bitcoin come from? But the mind of Satoshi Nakamoto. It was a concept before, but nobody did it, and he finally did. So thank goodness we have the concept of Bitcoin, but greed and cheating and charlatanism hasn't gone away just because we have a new form of money.
The link three.
Say, oh,
So
you
I
have a
wanted to
third
talk
link?
about
Okay.
this real quick. I want to talk about this real quick because this is actually I think you can relate to this as a miner.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Marathon Digital. Obviously, there was an article that came out yesterday that they actually missed their quota on actual revenue,
Yep.
and it's actually really it's a lot worse than they thought it was. 3 times worse. Let's actually find the numbers
It
here.
was nine
Um,
exahash versus 23 exahash. They were expected 23 and they got 9. Or is it?
Well, not only that, but also the amount that they lost, the losses in it. So let's see
Oh, okay.
where's those numbers at. Um,
Right, it was the first paragraph. It
okay,
says
so there it is.
Marathon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the first sentence. Yeah, Marathon Digital is one of the largest Bitcoin miners in the world. Reported third quarter revenues of $12 million, shy of an average analyst estimate of 23.4 million, according to
it's
fact
roughly
set
half.
data.
Right.
So that's not good. So they're not the only corporate company out there. Obviously, this is one of the bigger ones, but it's not the only one out there. They're all pretty much in the same situation, and it doesn't help that Bitcoin's going lower and lower. What happens? There's a ripple effect going on. You got all this big news that we just talked about, right? Put that aside. Now we're moving over to the mining side. The mining side is being affected by this as well because electricity is going up, networks are going offline. And obviously if you have a major facility and you're having issues with regulators or you're being forced to shut down because there's that situation too where states are telling certain facilities, hey, you need to shut down because we need to conserve power for an X amount of days, right? Because we're trying to be eco-friendly here, trying to be green, trying to
Well,
preserve energy.
it's the point is that per the idea that Java Farms was headed for was that crypto mining companies can be an overhead store. Like, you're using a lot of power, right? Well, the grid needs it. Okay, so we turn our machines off and then you get it back. So the overhead is just transferred from one centralized entity to whomever needs it within the grid. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's not a weird thing to do, but at the same
It's not a
time,
weird thing, but they are not getting a one for one for what they would have gotten if they were mining, and that's what the issue is. Now that these companies are pretty much underwater, they have no choice. What is their alternative right now when they're underwater? They're sitting on a bag of BTC. What do they do with it? They have to protect their company, so they have no choice but to dump a massive amount of coins in the market, which is going to further drop the entire
the
market.
price.
So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things going on in the market, not just one event. There's many events going
Well,
on
I
at the
mean, it's
same
just the
time.
opposite of the building up stage, really, because
Hmm.
and it's disappointing. It's like it's not directly related, but we do talk about Facebook or Meta. that Meta fired 11,000 people today. And what does that do to the economy? Well, one, it helps Facebook survive, or Meta, whatever you want to call it. But it also, it just devastated the family lives of 11,000 people. That's it's not a vacuum. Firing 11,000 people doesn't just nothing happen from that activity. Now, fortunately, Facebook was nice enough to give those people what they call silver parachutes. So it's like, if you worked for us for a certain period of time, here's some money, and we'll keep your insurance going, et cetera, et cetera. They're not just killing it off. They're trying to support those people in some way, but they have to get rid of them so that the company doesn't completely disappear. So same thing with, I shouldn't say Twitter's the best example, but I mean, companies fire people because it's their biggest single cost. And if the way that they put it to me when the company I was working for in 2008, they said, well, you can either have a 10% pay cut or a 100% pay cut. Which would you prefer? And I was like, 10%. I'll take the 10% because it's a way to save money without killing the company. So, yeah, they're trying to sell their coins because they don't want the company to disappear. They want to keep mining.
Right. Yep. And obviously, there's a lot of other investors invested in Digital Marathon that obviously rely on the success of their company going further.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot going on in the market. Don't FUD, don't FOMO. I think you should just stick with laser eyes and diamond hands and continue to hodl and stack some more sats. At least, no, seriously, that's a positive. For me, this is a big positive. It's all bad news. There was just a bunch of blood going on in the market, but for me, I'm looking at this like this is another opportunity for me to stack some more sats.
Yeah, another opportunity to invest.
And on top of that, I think the two satoshis of the day is be careful what exchange you're using.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's best to be your own custodian, which means hold your own keys in your own wallet.
If this has taught us nothing else, it's taught us that we need to get away from centralized exchange. I realize some people don't want to have to do it, but if someone at some point will make a decentralized app that fosters the idea better than what we currently have. The problem is nobody was doing, or I shouldn't say nobody, very few people were doing development on decentralized exchanges, so that people could actually say, like, we have a decentralized exchange in the world right now that allows people to trade goods and services for fiat dollars in the United States, as well as pretty much everything. That is a decentralized, not marketplace, but decentralized economy. What we need is a digital way of doing the exact same thing that allows people to trade currencies or trade goods for services that is not dependent upon something like MasterCard, Visa, or Binance, or FTX. And once we have that, this concept will disappear and we won't have this problem with people, keeping their money all in one place and then potentially losing it all. Now, that doesn't mean people can't lie to you and tell you that they've got a product that, exists when it doesn't. That will still probably exist. But the point with Elizabeth Warren making this point, along with Bernie Sanders, who were both advocates for not centralization, but regulation, is that if you don't have some penance or some penalty for people who lie, then they'll just go online. If there's no consequence for doing crimes, then people will just keep doing crimes. We don't want that. Well, most of us don't. So
I want to go back to SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, with FTX. Actually, correction, with Solana. If you pull up the coin market cap, you can show Solana. They're down 50%. The reason that is because FTX is holding a lot of Solana. Sam Bankman-Fried was an early investor in Solana. Mm-hmm. So since his company is going under, everything associated with him, which happens to be his bag as well,
sold.
Is Solana. He has to dump that as well to try to cover it.
Right.
But it's down. That's the primary reason why Solana is down right now, 50%. Yep. Not because Bitcoin's down, but because there's a big bag being dumped on the market right now. Unfortunately, they have no other choice. They got to try to protect the little that they have left.
Right.
So that sucks. Anybody holding Solana right now?
It's almost ironic in that sense because it's like, despite the fact that this company has all this holdings, you'd think that they could just give the holdings back to the people who want the money. It's like, oh, you need money? Here's some Solana. That way you don't have to sell it. Then you just give it to that person and the price doesn't go down. But because the economy, despite our attempts, as much as we have attempted to do to make our economy move away from crypto explicitly, people still don't want to accept just Solana. So it's like I said, if you just gave the Solana to someone else, he wouldn't have had to sell it, right? If you can actually pay somebody with Bitcoin instead of selling the Bitcoin back to fiat in order to get the money out of it, quote unquote, then the price doesn't fall because it's just trade at that point.
I also want to elaborate on the fact that there's nothing wrong with these tokens. The technology behind these tokens,
It's solid.
there's nothing wrong with them.
Right.
Okay? This is literally humans' emotions, humans' reactions, humans' poor decision making. Okay.
Yep.
Just really, really, for the viewers and listeners out there, there's nothing wrong with what's going on with these crypto projects out here. It is people's decisions making this happen. There's a lot of investors that are FOMOing, a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market right now. That's what's going on. Not the project. It's not broken. Bitcoin's not broken, even though people are selling it.
Right.
And that's what I tried to tell my coworker. My coworker earlier today was like, "Man, you should get out of it, man. Just get out of it." And he's the same guy just a couple weeks ago was like, "Yeah, it's doing pretty good, and I'm happy that I got into it." It's like, "Oh, cool, man. It's good that you got into it. I've been in crypto for a while, And now he's over here saying, "I'm not touching it. You shouldn't touch it. Just walk away from it. Don't do nothing with crypto." It's like, well, I'm letting you know that once I go on my break right now, I'm gonna buy some more Bitcoin, which I did.
Right. And that's because we've been in it for
nothing
so long.
wrong.
We understand it. But these people getting into it, they're so new to it, they're just scared of it. And that's the problem with FOMO.
Okay. There's a lot of people that came in during when Coinbase listed was last year, right? When they listed last year, so they didn't truly have the full experience of a down market. This is a real down market. This is what's going to make people, what you call them, crypto bros, get the crypto bros out of the market.
Yep.
That's going to wipe those guys out, get them out of here. It's going to keep the hodlers and diamond hands here, create a more stronger market, which is good. There's going to be after this, there's going to be new companies coming out that are going to be stronger, smarter, and more powerful. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We'll see what happens. What I do know is that this is not over. We are. It's the 9th of November. This is not the end. This is only the beginning of a domino effect with FTX. There's a lot, like we just mentioned all the companies. It's only a matter of time when the revelation comes that, hey, we're gonna have to do something about our company as well. Go under or they get absorbed by another company.
Yep.
That's what's scary about this whole FTX ripple effect. It's only the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to reiterate again. Be careful with what exchange you're using right now because we don't know full extent of how much other companies are invested into FTX and the FTT coin.
Right.
Careful.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I can't even think of the number of times now it's come to me. I feel like at least 20 times someone has said, "Why don't you guys create, some how-to videos?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm making the how-to videos. Give me some time. It takes a bit." I've already made, a couple of how-to videos about Evermore, and then that fall with a lot of other people making how-to videos on Evermore, which has been good. So yeah, it's still budding. I'm not only one person. Well, I guess John and I are just individual. We try to produce this content, and we do every twice every week. And of course, John's producing way more, not just for this, but Raven and Evermore, as well as Hacker Dojo, which is not a crypto. But so yeah, with that, I think we've hit a lot of the topics. We could go on for hours about this, but we shouldn't. Yeah. So with that, we would like to say check out our coin tree here, which I'll put on the screen. Check out our coin tree. You can donate there. There's lots of different possibilities, as well as all of our social media links. And then shop.jabberelli.com/C3media, which is going away pretty soon, but not yet. We're going to have another page up for our t-shirts that you guys can buy on that. If you want to purchase a t-shirt to support the channel, we appreciate that very much. So at the end of the show, we always say, stack sats and hodl.
And hodl.
Adios.